We are not yet where we need to be on several of the most difficult issues. And the truth is that while I completely agree with Foreign Minister Zarif that we have never been closer, at this point, this negotiation could go either way.
And welcome back to the wrap. That was Secretary of State John Kerry, that's Marie Harf's boss, on the down-to-the-wire talks over Iran's nuclear program. The new deadline is tomorrow. Tennessee Senator Bob Corker, chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee, has some big concerns.
We've gone from dismantling their program to managing proliferation. I mean, that's the biggest concern. That's already done. But right now we have the issues of, are we going to have anytime, anywhere inspections? Will we know what their past military dimensions were? It's very important.
And to further complicate matters, Tehran is now pushing for the end to the UN arms embargo on Iran, a parallel deal that the United States opposes. Is the U.S. giving away too much, Carl Higbee?
Why would we even bother negotiating with them? We can't have them have a nuke. You can't let that happen. So we should just say, no nuke, no enrichment, no centrifuges, not 20%, not export, nothing.
You're the Trump of negotiation. I like it. Brad?
Look, what worries me is when I see the Secretary of State stand at that microphone and say it could go either way. Every fiber of my body hears him saying, no, we've made the deal. No, we've made the deal. I have to message it could go either way because I've got to build credibility for the fact that there's only one acceptable outcome. And that's the issue here for me. I actually believe negotiating with enemies is what you do. You do negotiate with your enemies. That's how peace is made. But you don't negotiate with the starting premise that no matter what, you have to get a deal. That's not a negotiation. That's a fire sale on global security.
You don't negotiate with your enemies. You kill your enemies. You negotiate with your foes.
Well, I agree with Brad on that.
I
agree with that if you ever want to have peace. But there's another way you can look at it when the Secretary, I'm not saying your way is wrong, but the other way you look at it when the Secretary of State says it could go both ways is he's sending a message to Iran, we're not going to do this if you don't come around. So it could be either, you don't really know, just like we don't really know at this point what's in this potential agreement. We got to see it before we can. I will say I think you're seeing more and more of the country turn against the idea. I like the idea of finding a way to stop their nuke and making a deal. I'm getting somewhat sour on it, I have to admit. I was talking to a political guy, Bill Gallagher. I think you know Bill.
A nice guy out of Jersey.
Yeah, and he feels that we shouldn't do the deal, that it's not coming together. We'll see. You know, we will either know in the next few days or not. One thing I would caution, this deadline thing bothers me. Either get it right, but don't worry about when you get it. If you can't get it right, don't do it. But enough with this deadline stuff.
Well, there is no deadline, and the longer we talk, the more they enrich and more research they do. So the whole thing is crazy. And I think you're right. We don't know what's in the deal, but here's what we do know. Every so-called red line that has been established by the administration to this point has been passed.
It has.
Right. So while you're absolutely right that we don't know, and in the end, the last-minute deal could bring some of that back. But to the extent that past performance is an indicator of future performance, it don't look great.
If Iran gets a nuke, they will use it, and they're going to use it on Israel. They've said that. They've said it. And we have to also,
or at least use it for blackmail.
Or that. But we have to consider also the fact that, you know, they are many months ahead of where we think they are, because we keep finding new parts of this of their facilities.
Well, that's the thing about this. They get to keep their centrifuges. They get to keep the plutonium reactor. So basically, this doesn't really do anything. It's got no teeth. No.
You know,
Rubio said it guarantees them a nuke.
But one thing I do have to point out, because and I know people get mad at me for saying this because it's the old, you know, well, Bush did this, you know, it's not what I'm doing. But remember that when the last administration came into power, they had 2,000 centrifuges. When they left power, they had 26,000 centrifuges. So Republicans have to stop with this. This is all Obama and we were great. Enough of that. I agree that anything that allows them to get a nuke is bad news.
Yeah.
But this, you know, this Obama fixation has got to stop, and we have to start looking at this objectively.
Do you think Israel will just ignore this? Let's say we do come to a deal, and Israel doesn't trust it at all, and Netanyahu has said as much. You think they would just act on their own if they had reliable intelligence that a nuke was close. In other words, again, the centrifuge is still going. The plutonium reactor still. They said, you know what? Screw the deal. We're just going to take him out ourselves. And then,
much as I
World
would
War III.
love to answer that question, I don't think that I can. I can tell you where public sentiment is in Israel. It supports it, but it's kind of irrelevant because in the absence of MOPS, in the absence of the kind of weapons which the U.S. would have to send to Israel to actually take out the known places where they're doing the enriching that will lead to a weapon, is impossible for Israel to do.
We also don't know every single area where they're enriching.
Right, and that's
plutonium.
assuming we actually know all the spots.
The good news is it's come out in the past few days that we may now have a weapon that could get to their heavily buried underground.
Oh, the United
sites.
States does. Those are the MOPS.
We didn't before.
But Israel doesn't.
Okay, let's do our traditional lightning round. This is a yes or no answer. Will a deal be made? You already have a yes on that one, correct?
I'm afraid the answer is yes. I hope the answer is no.
Okay, one word, Brad. It's not hard. Carl.
Yes, but they're going to violate it.
Okay, 5 words.
I think yes, too.
Okay, 3 words. See how that just slowly went down? Either way, I kept
Set
you
the
under
bar low enough
control.
so everyone could do better.
All right. We want to hear your thoughts on the Iran deal. Go to newsmaxtv.com/comments and let us know. Back with more in a moment.